Hey everyone,
Oh, hello.
we're live. Oh my goodness. It's a day. It's a day. Okay, so just as a heads up, everyone, it was originally scheduled as a Becoming Witch interview with Adam, but due to circumstances with what's happening over here at my house, and my computer, we're actually switching it for the next talk, which is curses. So we're going to be talking about curses today.
Curses and taxes.
Yeah. And I have no idea how many people are going to show up because, yeah, I just posted the link like 10 minutes ago. Usually I'm on top of that. It's just not happening today. It's just not happening.
Who cares if we have 0 people show up? They're all hiding on Tequila's channel waiting for her next video.
Well, even if we don't have a lot of people showing up, this is still going on my channel so people can watch it on, recorded later or whatever. And I haven't even put up videos in weeks. So yeah,
I have videos coming next month. I have to make a video to announce all this, but I have videos coming next month.
Yay. I'll have videos as soon as my hard drive is returned to me. Hopefully I have content I want to create and put up for.
I'm having a deja vu moment.
You are?
Yes, very intensely. Like, I've seen this, but like in a dream. Like this whole situation, this whole conversation, your backdrop, everything. It just hit
my
me.
backdrop is always here, right?
I know, but it just hit me, and I was like, wow. It was for a split second. It felt like I was living in a different time, but it was the same time, if that makes any sense.
Hi, Amelia. I guess it makes sense. I have to take down my tree.
I took mine down 2 days after Christmas.
Did you? Oh, I have to take it down. I have to. The dog Sophie was sick a couple of nights ago, and I have to wash the carpet now. And can I tell you?
Lingering 2021 is just a disaster for you.
Well, it's the lingering effects of 2020, I think, is what it is.
You just got to shut the door on 2020 and move forward.
No kidding, right? No kidding. So, Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Curses and hexes.
Well, first of all, hexes aren't even a thing. A hex is just somebody.
Yeah, I wasn't even. I just said curses because, curses or like baneful magic, that kind of stuff.
What is a curse? What is your definition? Here's your favorite question. What's your definition of a curse?
I would say,
That's a hard one too.
Well, I'm trying to make sure I incorporate everything. Okay, off the cuff, because again, I don't even have my notes. I don't have anything. I don't even have my questions.
How do you think I do half my live streams? I do it completely off the cuff.
Yeah, I can tell. I usually have notes. So off the cuff, I would say a curse is a spell with the specific intention of causing harm in some aspect to the target.
Do you think they work?
Oh yeah, I do.
So so I'm going to give an example. I'm not going to do this, but I'm just going to use
examples hypothetically.
Hypothetically, people. So if I went tonight at midnight, and I'm assuming you're asleep at this point, this is the best time to curse people, okay, when they're asleep. And I threw some wicked, vile magics and just never said anything to you. Do you think it would work? I'm not saying from a perspective of your protections and whatnot.
I was just going to say, for me personally,
but more from a generic, like if a witch is throwing magic and obviously never speaking about it because we're not supposed to, and they never, they don't engage with the target, right? Like
Okay, if you say it, I guess, I mean, if we say that the target is a non-magical practitioner, the target is unaware of energies, the
Well,
target has no.
I was going for a magical practitioner who would be unaware of you. And you're
Oh,
just some
like
person
you,
on the internet throwing shit at them.
like
But you're
like you are the witch, you're the one throwing the curse, and you don't. The person that you're throwing the curse at doesn't know you.
yes. That's where I was going with this.
Okay, so not me because I know you and you know me, and
Yeah, I thought if I use you as an example, it might put it in context, but then I got lost with words.
yeah. I think depending on the magical practitioner you're throwing curses at, because I think because the curse is just in the definition I'm using, being that it is a spell meant intentionally to cause harm. If the magical practitioner, my target, depending on their practice, I mean, I would imagine, I would hope I've done my homework on the person that I want to curse. You know, I have some understandings, both mundane and magical, about my target, because to know, to know myself, what works best for me in doing magic, and to know the target that I am, sending that intention to, would help me weave and craft a curse that would be ideal for that situation and that target. That same curse that I might throw at target A may not work if I'm trying to throw it at target C. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I've got a curse that I use on multiple targets in the past, and I have found that that particular curse will sometimes fail for another target.
Yeah, see, because it's different energies. Each individual person, whether they're magical witch or mundane, Cowan, everybody has a specific energetic frequency, and to align with that energetic frequency is going to help you craft a curse that would be effective for that energetic frequency. And I have found in my personal practice, the better I know the individual, the easier it is to manipulate the energy and curse the individual.
Well, yeah, because you have that energetic connection with the person.
Exactly.
So, and that leads me to the point of like, what's the point? Why not just if like, what is the point of cursing? Just move on. Just shake it off, bitch.
Right. And I think you and I actually, because you were pointing out when you were reading my book, that you and I think that's where this came from, this conversation. I don't remember. It was like the chapter on magic, wasn't it? It was when you and I were chit-chatting.
I know, I'm scrolling backwards.
Okay.
You got long ass responses here.
I know. Well, because you asked questions, and you asked complex questions of me. It was something about I said that
Ripple in a pond is where it went, and consequences.
Yeah, it was after that. You would say,
okay. So if I throw nasty, vile, negative curse your way, let's pretend, and it gets through your wards and protections, starts affecting you in your life in energetic vibrations, enough that your witchy tinglings are vibrating and not in a magical way, wink, wink, you do nothing because the same energy will come upon me. What if it's justified in my eyes based on what you say? Almost sounds like doing nothing is the right choice because motion, confusion, which basically the chapter was talking about what you put out comes back. Page 57.
Thank you. Yeah, because you even put page 57.
I have a review coming. I just haven't finished the book.
No, I understand. But so the quote I said, and this was about curses. I say, personally, I don't blindly throw curses at individuals who have betrayed me, nor do I hastily work a malediction on those who have wronged me, because I understand the implications of Newton's observations. I understand that the individual who has taken upon themselves to send the negative energy and possibility of harmful intention toward me in whatever form they have chosen will experience that same energy returning to them in accordance with the third law of motion. There is nothing I'm required to do because they will most likely experience it through their own actions. I witness enough ugliness and negativity in the world that I don't add to the vibration if it isn't necessary. But just because I don't enjoy it doesn't mean I won't if I deem it necessary. So what I was saying, and what
I just want to throw something controversial out there. I think if a lot of Wiccans read this particular thing that you just read out to all of us, they would finally understand what threefold actually means.
I agree. What you were saying, why then curse? If you know that whatever is going on, that there is sort of a return or a consequences of actions. If I'm a witch that's cursing people, and I am going to sort of experience the energy that I am living in, which generally when the most common time that people think to curse is when they're in the heat of the moment, right? You're feeling angry, you're pissed off, this person betrayed you or wronged you, and that's it. You're going to put on the mantle of the wicked witch, and you're going to, like that. You're going to throw a curse out, let them get it back, right back to you, right? I would say that's not the best time to do the curse. That's not the best time.
I don't know. I've done some curses when I've been pissed off, and they have been plenty effective.
I'm not saying that it's not going to be effective. I'm saying it's not the best time. And why I say that is because you may not be thinking clearly. You're acting all from your emotional response. You're pissed off, you're angry, you're hurt, you're frustrated, whatever that is. Take that, because that's good energy to use. And I would suggest imbuing it in an item that you're going to use later for the curse. Whether it's a stone, whatever it is, imbue all that energy that you've raised up within you and imbue it in an item that you're then going to use when you do craft and cast the curse. Because then when you're when you're not so heated and you're able to think about how you're going to craft it, then you can use that energy. That way you can really consider what it is you're going to do and really consider what the possible implications are of this curse and consider the consequences of the curse. Because we all know sometimes when we cast a spell, even if it's, beneficial for someone, even if it's benevolent, there's consequences to that too, right? Sometimes things, you have internal obstacles going on. Maybe you have things that are holding back your magic. Maybe you're not feeling good that day, and tomorrow you're going to feel better and you'll be in a better state of mind and health, so that doing any kind of magic would be more successful. I don't know. That's what I do. That's what I try to do. Though it can be difficult not to, in that heat of the moment, point at someone and say things that maybe I shouldn't have said, and sent out intentions that maybe weren't the best thing to do at the time.
My viewpoints on cursing and quote unquote hexing, it changes all the time, because in one moment it's like, this is an interesting, there was a point in my craft where it was a very fascinating subject that I just wanted to deep dive into and understand everything about it. And at the end of the day, there really isn't anything to understand other than it's just a spell with negative intentions behind it. That's all a curse is. And in my opinion, it doesn't, it's not worth it. It's not. It's too much energy. And most of the people that we would be cursing or hexing will either A, never see them again if it was that rude bitch at Walmart, B, they're on the other side of the internet if it's that rude bitch on YouTube, and C, who cares? Just block them if it's that rude bitch on Facebook. a lot of the conversation around cursing and hexing on social media platforms is targeted at other people on social media platforms. And even if it's just the person down your street who's being an asshole, like, it's not worth it.
Well, I really think it depends on the individual. And like I said, I'm not one to judge someone else's decision on whether to curse or not.
Well, no, I mean, you do you.
Right. And I don't live your life. I haven't had your experiences, you being the collective you. I haven't had your, lived your life in general. I don't know what's going on. And my morality and my code of conduct is going to be different than anybody else's morality or code of conduct. I don't know the situation surrounding what's going on and why the witch would feel justified into throwing a curse or not. It's really up to the individual witch, whether they're going to do it or not. And I'm all for that. We all should be able to live according to our own, morality.
Can you put this third Jasmine comment on the screen?
Jasmine.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Jasmine, not Jasmine. It's absolutely worth it. The karma one. Because I really want to say that the use of karma, in my opinion, in Western civilization is bastardized. Like, we're not using it right. And like, it feels to me whenever we talk about karma, we talk about what we're meaning is we're expecting it to come back to them. Like, if I punch you in the face, I'm going to get arrested. Like, that's karma. If I cast a magical spell at you and my life falls to shit, that's karma. But what that really is what you said. It's the third motion. It's the third law of motion. It's everything everything that happens. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction, but that's not what karma is, because karma is affected in your next life, not in the current life. And it's a Buddhist/Eastern thing. So it bugs me when we talk about curses and then we throw karma into the situation, because it's not used in the correct context. That's all I wanted to say on it.
Oh, the karma thing.
Yeah.
I
mean, I agree with Jasmine, but I don't agree with the use of karma.
Right. I think, and she said right, which is why I don't believe hexes, curses, whatever bring you bad karma. Yeah, I think we're using the word karma as just the modern terminology.
Well, yeah, because I mean, so when a witch starts out on their path, like if you're a modern witch who's starting out on your path, a lot of the times the first thing you'll find in your local bookstore is the Wiccan books, right? And every Wiccan book, as we already know, talks about threefold. And then there's the social media aspect where they talk about karma. And then there's the YouTube aspect where a lot of us don't believe that if we throw something negative out, it will come back to us, which is what led to my question to you about the cursing and hexing, about, well, if I say it's justified, is it going to come back to me? I mean, in theory, it should, because for every action is an opposite and equal reaction. But who's to say the reaction affects me?
Right, exactly. I mean, for my approach, like you said, for every action, there is a reaction or multiple reactions, depending on the situation, right? If I am in a room by myself and I scream and no one else can hear it, it's only affecting me, depending on how thick the walls, are. If I'm in the room with my husband and the walls are really thick and I scream, now it's going to affect me and my husband, or if I, whatever, start crying or, laughing, it could go either way. It's going to affect something, even if it is just me. My thought with curses and hexes is, if I am aligning my personal vibration with I'm in that negative, or I hate using negative, but if I'm angry or frustrated or upset or felt betrayed or am fearful or whatever it is, whatever feeling or emotion I'm expressing that is motivating me to throw a curse, I'm already living in that vibration, and the things that are surrounding me, I mean, I'm affecting that because I'm feeling that way, not judging those feelings as good or bad, because depending on this situation, it could be good or bad. but I'm already aligned in that vibration. I'm already aligning with other things of that vibration. And I can use that to power the curse that I'm going to throw in that moment. But for me personally, I would be a little concerned about my judgment, my intellectual side, because it is being influenced very heavily by my emotional side, which is why I kind of like to have some clarity before I move forward with that curse.
This is the whole, like, this is the human experience, because I was just thinking about it while you were describing it. I'm like, emotions are just energy.
Yes, they
It's
are.
just energy, and because we're humans, we're not woke enough as witches to be able to just see that my anger, my frustration is just energy. No,
Mhm.
instead all we see is we're angry and we're frustrated and we want to kill that thing. And if we could just open our eyeballs and meditate for a minute and just see the energy all around us, it would become, oh, this angry energy, I can just snatch that out and use it later. But we don't do that because we're not woke.
Well, I think too, the human experience, it's not just about being woke or asleep. I think the human experience is a combination of both. There is a time for everything. There is a time for being awoke, and there is a time for sleep. Sleep brings, regeneration. It helps you, the body heal itself. I mean, there is a time for that. I think for me, the best thing is to find a balance. So in the cursing, in the one good example of a curse that I did years ago. The individual that I did curse, um, it wasn't just a one-time thing. Um, the I'm trying to choose my words nicely. Uh, the way she manipulated me and the people surrounding me and the people I considered family, not just blood relations, but individuals I had a bond with, she manipulated everyone so that it created a very toxic environment, and she hurt not only me but these other individuals. And I took it upon myself to settle the score.
I've been in a very, very similar kind of public situation where I've also taken it upon myself to situation.
Oh, and just to clarify, this wasn't a YouTube situation. This was an in-person, real life situation. She was someone I welcomed into my home, where my family, my blood children, my husband, and she would often frequent the place of my work, where those individuals that I were family with, she poisoned everything. And enough was enough. I mean, like I said in my book, like we've said here, I am not one to just curse everybody. That's not my way. But if it is necessary, if I deem it necessary, if I see what I am going to do as justifiable, then I will do what I need to do. But again, not in the heat of the moment. I did savor and save all that emotional energy in a way, as I suggested. I imbued it in something that I used in the curse that I did, and it was very successful, from what I know. Because it was not long after that, strange as it was, I no longer saw her. But she was alive. She's alive. Well, I don't know now. It's been years. But at the time, she was alive. She was doing her own thing somewhere else.
I don't like throwing curses, but there's been a few times where I've done it. And when I first started this social media trip with YouTube and Facebook groups and all that back in the day when I was a young little thing, there was a curse that I had developed, and it was this nasty, vile thing where you'd have like this jar and you would put like vinegar and like all this other stuff in it. And you would burn certain resins on top, and then you would throw it into the river. I don't suggest people throwing things into the river, but you know, each to their own. um, and so I had used this curse on multiple people, and it at the time when I was starting out on this new journey in life, it felt cool and it felt, you know, like I have power and I can shut people up and I can do things. And then I had realized that I didn't have any power when Mrs. Manipulation came along, and that whole situation played out. But at in the middle of the situation when it was playing out, near the end of it, I would say, I was tired of everybody talking. That's like, it wasn't that people were saying nasty things. It wasn't that there was this massive attack going on or anything like that. I just wanted everybody to go their separate ways. Whiskers, stop it. Go their separate ways and just stop talking. And so it wasn't really a curse, I guess. It was more kind of magic, like control magic, to kind of be like, lose the taste of my name, forget that I existed, move on with your life. And it worked. It worked damn well in those particular situations. But the ramifications that I dealt with was like severe depression for a very long time. And recently I've been able to, you know, kind of heal and begin to move on from all of that stuff. So I can understand how curses can have a ramification, because I did those types of magics in a situation where I was just very, like, I wanted it to be over. I just wanted it to stop and go away.
Yeah. I think, you know, when I define curses and I say harm can be physical harm, it can be mental harm, it can be emotional harm, it can be spiritual harm. You know, when the witch is, or the magical practitioner is causing some sort of non-favorable results of the curse. I do want to look here. Jasmine suggests that she believes there's a big difference between jinxes, hexes, and curses. I guess I don't use the term jinxes and hexes. From my definition, a hex is a spell.
Yeah.
A hex is a spell.
It's a spell that you cast on somebody is essentially what it means. I mean, the spell could be anything. It could be a love spell. It could be a command and compel spell. It could be a curse. It could be anything that you do to a target.
I'm not familiar with jinxes. So is that sort of like throwing hot foot powder and someone walks over it? Or they have to like trigger it?
It's like a trap in hoodoo.
Okay, that's what I thought. Like they trigger it, right? They trigger it. Okay, got it. I have done. I guess I just don't use the terminology. I have done spells on an item and basically protection, with the caveat that if someone were to steal the item or take something, then, you know, and if then this is protected. If someone takes it, then they will get a little sting or something. I've done things like that.
Yeah, Jasmine also says that jinxes are much more petty, while curses are more intense. That'd be
I see that.
Yeah, that'd be like a trap in hoodoo, where it's just like, I want you gone. It's like a petty thing, as opposed to being like, I want you to die. Which leads me to my next question. Do you think that if I were to put enough intention in, that my magic could actually kill somebody? Because we touched on this very briefly for a split second. And I was wondering, like, is that even, I don't think that's a thing, because if that's a thing, then technically, if I can kill somebody, I should be able to do the complete and utter opposite of that.
Well, here's my thought. If we go with the premise that magic takes the path of least resistance, right? And we are able to manipulate energy, and we are not only able to manipulate energy, but we are influenced, we being the collective we, every single person is influenced by outside sources. I think, and I believe, that if the target that you are trying to kill is already aligned with death or illness, or they're already, for example, if they're suicidal, if they are in depression, if they have an illness already, if they're already giving up their will to live, I think the witch can influence it. But I wouldn't then say it's, I know we're getting dark. You asked the question.
I did, but you took it to a dark level. You could have just said yes.
No, because I don't think the witch themselves has the power to kill someone. I'm saying that the individual, the target, if you're targeting someone who is already on that sort of path of least resistance, you most certainly can influence that person. And this brings to mind, there was a case, a court case of the girlfriend who was on the cell phone with her boyfriend who was suicidal. Yeah. And she was egging him on to do it. Yeah. It's sort of that kind of scenario. And like we just already sort of implied, if you have a personal bond with the target that you want to curse, it's easier to curse them. You know their buttons to push. You know the things to say to convince them to carry forth what your intention is.
I don't think I would ever use magic to go that far. Like, my moral compass is like, I will put you in the hospital, but I will not kill you.
And again, we each are, I believe, we each are held responsible to whatever spirits we work with, whatever deities we work with, whatever the greater cosmos, whatever it is that you have a relationship with as witch, because I do believe every witch has a relationship with the spirit. Thank you, Siri. Thank you, Siri. I triggered Siri. What is that saying? My apologies. I couldn't hear what you said. See, the spirits are talking to me. I think every witch has a relationship with the spiritual realm. So there are spirits that we work with. So we have a responsibility to that relationship. We have a responsibility to the relationship with ourselves and the greater universal source. So, you know when you've crossed your line.
Yeah.
You know when that is. And some individuals' lines are way far away from ours.
So how do you, this goes back to my original question of, do curses even work? How do you know, right? So someone out there in the vast world decides they don't like lunar wisdom and they throw a nasty ass curse your way, but no one says anything, and they don't have a YouTube account to come on here and be like, I cursed lunar wisdom. So how do you know? How do you know that it's not?
How do I know?
Well, how does, yeah, we'll go with you.
Me personally, how would I know if someone cursed me? Well, if I'm living my life in alignment with my capital T, true capital W will, and my life seems to be following a specific path, and my magic that I'm doing for myself, the spell work, the healing, whatever I'm doing, everything is going along and everything's great, and all of a sudden shit is hitting the fan. First of all, I would do divination, whatever form that is. I would commune with my spirits. Yo, can you tell me what's going on? And if my life seems to be falling to shit still, I think that would be an indication that something is off. And then again, I would seek to discover what that is.
Wouldn't the spirits just tell you, though?
It depends. It depends on what spirit you're working with, because as you know, some of them don't like to just give you the answers. They make you work for it.
Hi, Morgan. How are you?
They make you work for it. They will give you, hey, maybe you should check out this situation. Maybe you need to do some more inner work. Maybe your inner work, what's going on? What are you thinking? What about this? What about that? And then some spirits will just flat out and say, yeah, go check this out. I think it depends on your relationship with the spirits. Other people, I don't think other people would know what's going on unless I'm telling other people, you know?
Yeah.
And if I'm the one who cursed the person, if I cursed a target and I want to know if my curse is working, then I'm going to be watching that person, and I would write into my curse indicators so that I know, if I'm working with a spirit, if I'm working with certain things and I want to see certain things happen in that person's life, I would set up indicators so I can tell if I need to do more or if everything's all set.
See, if magic was being thrown at me, it's hard to tell, because for me, it's like this gut feeling. It's just this sinking, anxiety building feeling. And I just know. It's just one of those things that you kind of just know. And you can distinguish, because if you're aligned with yourself, you can distinguish if it's your own anxiety, if it's something you've done to yourself, if it's a situation that you know was going to play out a certain way that's going to start playing out that way, and you know the ramifications, and that's causing you to have anxiety. And then there's the whole everything's going fine, but I'm sitting here on the couch and I have a sinking feeling that something's really wrong. That's how I know the last.
Right. And I think that all falls under the first pillar, to know, of the witch's pyramid. To know. If you don't know yourself, then you're not going to know when something's off. You're not going to know when you should, do divination. Divination, you're not going to know when to commune with your spirits, when to check in with your god or goddess, to know, to feel the energy flow,
Now so a curse is coming in and you've got all these feelings and tinglies and vibrations are going off everywhere. Everybody kind of jumps to the reactionary, right? The reversal candles, the send back, or the return to sender spell.
Return to sender, yeah.
The curse breaker jar, so on and so forth. But if a curse is lower vibrational energy, like negative energy, then just raise the vibrations. I mean, your thoughts create your reality, right? So if this curse is coming in and your life is turning to shit and you're noticing that you're becoming more negative and thinking about things more negatively, just change your thought pattern. Start thinking positive, start putting out those positive vibrations, and the curse can't affect you, because it all comes down, like, I don't know how to, because when energy is coming towards you, it's not something you can see. It's not something you can touch. It's not like a car is coming at you, so step back. It's something that is just coming at you. And so if you raise your vibrations, if you change your thought mentality, if you can recognize that everything was going fine a week ago and now things are starting to fall to shit. I mean, yeah, there's divination and things you could do, but I would instantly just start changing my thought patterns and being like, no, everything is fine, nothing is wrong.
But are you really changing your thought patterns, or are you pretending?
This goes back to knowing yourself. So like for me, if I know that it's a curse coming in, I've got that feeling, I know that someone somewhere is throwing something nasty at me, all I have to do is just be like, no, this is not happening. I am in a space, I'm in a place, and I'm in a time where my vibrations are at a level where I know that this will not affect me.
Well, I think it depends on you as the witch.
True.
I think it depends on the influence that this witch that is cursing you has over you. Say, in your example, there is a curse, negative energy being sent your way. You just know it. You've gotten your validation in whatever way you need that validation. And now you're like, okay, I know that this is a big, heavy influence on me, this negative energy, this curse. I need to shift it. It's going to depend on the individual on how you shift it. For some people, just changing your thought patterns isn't easy, especially if you're already in a vulnerable state, right?
Yeah. Because I had this roommate once, and I was just a very angry teenager, because I'm just an angry person.
Not you.
I'm not an angry person. Anyway, so
am I. I'm an angry person.
she would say to me whenever I was in these kind of situations, because she was a new agey type person, and she would always say, shift your vibrations. You need to shift your vibrations. And I never understood what she was talking about until about 6 months ago, when I knew some dumb bitch was throwing magic my way. I don't know who, but I knew someone was throwing magic. And I had this kind of feeling, this kind of thought in my head, and it was repeating, shift your vibrations. And it clicked. It took many years, but it finally clicked, and I shifted my vibrations. And I was doing a candle magic working to kind of like get rid of it, and I had cut it off. It's on one of my TikTok videos, actually. I had cut it off, that whatever somebody was doing, I'd cut it right off. And I was like, oh, this shit does work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of people aren't able to, because it depends upon the situation. But in my case, shifting my vibrations as opposed to freaking out and throwing all kinds of magic and wards up and all this other stuff was more effective for me.
Right. And again, I think it depends on the individual. And like I wanted to say, Amelia was saying, it's not just energy. If I curse someone to have an environmental problem, it's hard to raise the vibration when in the middle of the events that are happening. I think it's true. And again, it depends on how much influence this magical practitioner, this witch is, that has sent the curse upon you. It depends on the influence. So if it's like Adam was saying, if it's someone on the internet that just doesn't like me and they cursed me, their influence on me is not as great as if it were, my neighbor across the street who I'm really friendly with and I see every day. The influence there is different. There's a difference. And if it's someone you're bonded with and you're unaware that the curse is coming from them, you may keep inviting them into your sphere of influence, not realizing, it depends. It depends on the witch that sent the curse, and it depends on the target.
If your divination can't tell you that the curse is coming from somebody who is a little closer to you, it might not say, hey, Adam, you are being cursed by lunar wisdom, but it might say it is somebody that you are in constant communication with, right? And you're not putting 2 and 2 together. Girl, you deserve the damn curse.
I disagree. Because there are times in our lives that we are very vulnerable, that we are going through some sort of personal shit that makes you really vulnerable, and you're trusting your inner circle that you could get a smack in the face in your tarot cards suggesting it's your best friend. And you're like, no, I'm reading the cards wrong. It's not my best friend. They would never betray me like that. No, I'm interpreting it wrong. And you can. We are our worst sabotagers.
Yeah, I had that happen. So last year, right when the thing that's affecting the world right now that we can't say on YouTube had started, I did a divination tarot card just to check in with the Morrigan, and she had said that your job is gone, like you're done. She didn't say it in so many words, but there was lots of swords and upside down pentacles, right? So I'm like, okay. So I decided that I had read that wrong. I did exactly what you said. I thought I read it wrong. What happened 3 months later? Bitch ain't got a job. So I know it's going to be hard in some situations, but if you can, maybe get somebody else, if you know somebody else, to read divination. If you find yourself in these situations where life seems to be perfectly fine, and now what's going on? Because it goes back to this, like, some people on YouTube have said that a witch should never read their own tarot cards. I disagree with that heavily.
I disagree too.
But at the same time, when you find yourself in a situation where life is kind of upheaving itself, it might be best, if you can, to get a third party to read your tarot cards or divination, because we are humans, right? Like, we're not celestial beings that can just be like, oh, I see all the moving parts. We only get to see what's in front of us, and half the time we've got our eyes closed. So
But even then, you get someone you trust to read your cards. If you're really not willing to believe that it's your best friend, even hearing a trusted reader say
Right.
it's your best friend, you may still not believe it's your best friend, you know?
True, but I mean, at that point, if you've read the cards and it says your best friend, and somebody else that isn't your best friend read the cards and said it's your best friend, and you're still in denial, then I kind of have to feel like you need to step back. You need to take a moment. You need to
Yeah.
somehow separate yourself from the situation, because you're so blind that, in a joking way, I say you kind of deserve to be in the situation, but I know that everybody's different. You could be going through severe depression and have a certain kitty cat play with you, or you could be everything could be going fine, and then your life could go to shit, and you just don't understand why, and you just don't want to believe everything because you want to go back to the way things were.
Right.
So yeah, I
There's
get
something, I think, not necessarily you deserve it, but there's something in the experience for you to learn from.
that you're not learning, and you're going to keep repeating until you
Yes.
do. So
Right.
in the case, if it is your best friend, then maybe if two people, cards and some other person, has told you it's your best friend, maybe kind of hang out with them on their own and just see how they're acting around you, right? Play into it a little bit, and if it comes out as true, then you've got your answer. But if you're still in denial, you're missing something, and there's some serious shadow work to be done.
Right. I also think that, that if it is your best friend, sit down and, evaluate that friendship, do some deep diving into the shadows that are surrounding that relationship, consider how you met and what the give and take is in that relationship. If there is a give and take, really examine that friendship, because if you truly believe it's not your best friend, and after that evaluation of the relationship you still believe it's not your best friend, then consult your spirits, go into meditation.
And
um,
sometimes
there's something there. There
yeah,
is something there.
and sometimes it's something that you can't see until shit hits the fan, right? Like, I have been here. I know exactly what I'm talking about, because I have been taken advantage of, and I have played the cards that were dealt to me, and I put myself in these situations, not even realizing that there are strings behind the scenes that are being pulled. So I fully understand that when you're doing divination and you're reading candles and you're talking to your spirits and whatnot, and my cat is staring at the altar like there's a spirit on it or something, but okay. Right, so you're doing all this stuff, but you're just not seeing it until something catastrophic happens. And when you're somebody like me who suffers from abandonment issues along with depression, it is so easy to not think that somebody in your inner circle is manipulating you. It's so easy. And even afterwards, after everything was said and done, and I had decided that I'm going to try and figure out like what had happened, only then was I able to see that I was given the signs the entire time, slap dog in the face, and I just chose to ignore it. So I get it. I did kind of deserve it because there was a lesson to be taught, but I wasn't open to it until the universe was like, we're going to open you up to it now.
Right. And I think there's a learning experience in everything that we experience, the things that make us feel warm and fuzzy and the things that cause suffering for us. There's something there for us. I wanted to go through these comments. Was there Jasmine suggested, if you work with this was back when we were talking about what was it, the spirits and divination and stuff. If it's a spirit, you can attempt to bribe it and turn it on its sender. If it's a spirit that was sent with the curse, to carry out the curse.
I have a tip for people who do this, because this is a very real thing. What Jasmine is saying is that it is very easy for somebody to turn the spirit on you if they're able to do that type of magic. Send multiple. So if I ever curse somebody, sometimes I will use demons like Ashtaroth, and I won't send Ashtaroth. I will send his minions that he tends to show up with. And then if they can't deal with the situation, then he will go in and deal with it. So in those kind of attacks where you're sending spiritual entities, send multiple.
What was it I wanted to say? Oh, Jasmine also said, if you're a witch, you have a divine knowing. You'd know if you're generally cursed. And there's also a way when casting curses to make them harder to identify its source of variety. I agree completely. And then Amelia suggested that I think curses are more effective if the person doesn't know bragging defeats the purpose. I agree. I also, and this just, I don't know, that one curse I gave as an example of the woman, the individual, the woman who caused all the issues. I made sure she knew it came from me, sort of as an extra warning.
Oh.
Bitch, don't play, kind of thing. So I wasn't bragging, but I wanted her to know where it came from.
And I will sometimes show off curses on YouTube, but it's not, you don't get everything. You get the when I'm doing a curse on YouTube, it's more of these are the kind of videos where I want to be super aesthetic and just kind of give off the vibe of darkness without actually giving away the cookies or the cookie recipe, if you will.
There you go. Secret recipe.
I like, is it Nikolai Gypsy?
Yeah, yeah. Hold on. Let me just work down. Promotion for my book. Naked Dancing Heathen is enjoying my book immensely. Yay. Okay. That was down here. He was one of the last ones.
It was like, all this shows how easy it might be.
All this shows how easy it might be to curse someone. Maybe being jealous can give off an energy for that one good second.
It's not really easy to curse somebody. It's actually very difficult. I mean, a lot of people on YouTube will make it this big show where you have to have the picture and the name and the full name, and you have to do it a certain way, but that's not true. All you need is to be able to visualize them in your head and the intentions that you want to happen to them, and maybe a candle if that's your thing. But really, it's just the first two that you really need.
Have you ever had a curse come back and blow up in your face? Evoke My Heart asks.
Yeah. I've had a couple come back and blow up in my face. They're not fun to deal with.
I was just going to say, how were the consequences of that?
It was kind of scary because the last person, or the last time I'd done a curse that had blown up in my face, there's a guy that lives in a condo building, like literally behind our building, and he had parked in our parking spot one day. This was like years ago, and I had told him that he can't park there because it's for us only. And so I had phoned the crackheads, and who are the building managers, and I had said, you need to get these people out of here. And so they're like, oh, no, we've got a special arrangement. So I phoned the landlord and was like, there's no special arrangements here. So he got really pissy at me for getting everybody involved and said that I need to stay out of people's business, and that if he sees me again, there's going to be trouble and all this other stuff. So when I had got back from running some errands, I decided to burn this man to the ground. And I had seen him out walking his dog. So I took a very mental, clear picture of exactly what he looked like and pictured him, because I believe it was wintertime, and I had pictured him slipping on the ground and falling. Now, he didn't do that, but apparently something had happened to his daughter because he was talking to the crackheads, and his daughter had got some kind of accident and was injured, not severely, but she was injured. And I had felt bad because I had thought that my curse had affected him, but it affected his family when I wanted it to affect him and not everybody around it. So that's kind of how it blew up in my face.
Yeah. I don't, like I said, I don't curse enough to, I guess, have like all these examples. Maybe.
Well, I do a lot of reading on it. And there's a few times on YouTube where you'll see that I will do curses, but it's not I don't do them every day and I don't do them every week. It has to be a situation that is affecting me and my space and my mentality in order for me to go after the person. Like, I'll never go after somebody on YouTube. Like, that's a waste of time. And I won't go after anybody on social media because that's a waste of time. But I mean, if you're really, really hammering on me and really trying to come down on me, I will shut you up. I will try to find a way to make it so that you forget who I am and move on with your life. And if that's a curse, then I guess I've only done that a couple of times.
Yeah, I think if I go back to the definition where a curse is a, spell with the explicit intention of causing harm, whether that's physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, I have that one really good example, and that sticks out in my mind because that was a really such a bad situation. I think that's really one of two times I've done more aiding others in removing curses. I've done more return to sender. I've done more, shut the fuck up kind of thing.
Yeah, I love those things.
I don't necessarily feel personally return to sender or freeze or shut the fuck up or bury. I don't see any of those as curses because my intention isn't to explicitly cause harm, but to send back or banish you from my life. I don't feel like that's going to cause harm. Now, whether the individual feels like it's causing them harm, that's on them. I am not sending out the intention to cause them any harm, right?
Yeah. The only time I've done curses to send out harm is with that guy, and most of the time it's just get out from living underneath me or too noisy or whatever, or it's like shut the fuck up, forget my name. It's most of the time all I want to do is just make you forget who I am, and anytime you think of me, your tongue burns. That's it.
Evoke My Heart asks, but at what price? When does sending curses to settle the score stay as justice rather than vengeance, which personally I feel is blind?
It doesn't.
This is the point where I was suggesting that for me, instead of, feeling betrayed or angry or frustrated or whatever that uncomfortable feeling is, store it in an item to use as a battery later so that when I'm more clear-headed and not so driven by my emotion in that moment, I can look at the situation and better determine whether this situation requires a curse or maybe just a return to sender, or maybe I need to banish the person, cut them off in my sphere of influence.
Or you place black,
very kind of determine.
Or you just place black tourmaline crystal shards around your house, and any negative energy just gets absorbed into those. You place them out under a full moon, and done. Done. One of the things that I like to do, and I've only ever done this once, is somebody had thrown magic at me, have no idea who, but they threw magic at me, and instead of reacting or retaliating or anything, I just kind of took it. And I made a video a long time ago on this, where you can just take the energy and just transform it and use it for something else. Be like, oh, I can feel this negative energy, this negative effect is happening on me. What if I take this negative energy and use it to turn things around instead of being like, I'm going to throw everything back?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, again, it comes down to the person, the individual's own code of conduct, their own morals, their own ethics, their own sense. The witch knows what's going on. The witch in their own life knows what's happening to them and would better understand the situation. And we know when we cross our line. We know when we are not just, taking vengeance or being the hand of justice. We know if we're true with ourselves, if we honestly, take time to consider everything about us, we know.
I'm the queen. People can't touch me.
Mm-hmm. So it's been an hour. It's time to wrap it up. That hour went by so fast.
If you were solitary, there'd be another 3 to go.
Yeah, no. Can't do that. So yeah, so not next week, but the week after is our next scheduled time together, right? Yes, January 16th.
Oh yeah, that works.
And then Jasmine, who's been in chat, and I need to reschedule our chat probably for the week after that. I'll get in touch with her and reschedule that. So hopefully, Adam, our next chat will be me interviewing you for the Becoming Witch series, which I had done, and the video got deleted accidentally by me.
Because you delete everything.
No, I didn't. Are you kidding? Everything is on that hard drive, and that hard drive is with the service that is supposed to be able to recover my data.
Just do a hurry the fuck up spell.
I know.
And then think about before you do it what the unintended consequence could be. Okay.
I know. Maybe they won't get all my data. I want everything. It had that. Oh, you do. I'm going to get all upset about it again.
You'll figure out a way to craft a spell where you get everything you want and they hurry the fuck up.
Yeah, that's what I need for real. So thank you all for participating and watching, and see you all in a couple of weeks, right? Bye, everybody. Love you. Blessed be.